All right, everyone, we are supposedly live. We will make sure that that is actually the case, of course, on Rumble. The cat may be trying to attack her sister, so you might hear some yowling in the background. The baby's currently asleep upstairs, so no worries about baby noises in the background. A little bit of bleed through at some point if she gets fussy and hungry, but we'll see what happens. Let me make sure that we are live on Rumble here. You've got to reload it first. Then you've got to play your standby video. We'll see if we're actually talking to ourselves yet at the moment. Yes, we are. Excellent. So hello to everyone. Cross-platform. Slow mode, of course, on if you're on YouTube. We'll be going through some subjects here, some rather important ones. I realize that it's extremely early right now. I get woken up at 7 o'clock usually these days. It's actually a pretty reliable alarm clock, having an infant in the house. Of course, I take the night shift generally because during the day I have to do my work, various things, videos, writing, live streams like now, a little bit of garden work, taking out the trash and so forth. I'm a one-man army. I'm unstoppable because I have caffeine, of course. Anyway, just a second here. Let me make sure that I've got everything together as people pile in. We'll see how many Biden loser units we can get. I know that it's only 3:30 a.m. Eastern time, so probably there'll be more Australians and New Zealanders than there are people in parts of the United States, other than the night owl crowd, other insomniacs. To my fellow insomniacs, hello very much. Wish I had $5 a gallon gas. I'm in California, says President Joe Brandon. Yeah, we will be covering the gas prices. That's a major thing. We'll cover Boudin. We'll cover the leftist Dragroomers. By the way, I have definitely coined a new term with that. I don't think anyone else has used it. Possibly. Should look back and see if anyone used it first, but I'm pretty sure that Styx was first on that one too. Unlike legacy media, I popularized it, but I did not invent it. I got it from Greg Hunter of USA Watchdog, who was banned on YouTube some months ago, and I don't know where he is anymore, sadly. Had a good fiscal show. Quite a few subscribers. I think, God, definitely over 100,000, I think. Anyway, we'll start covering the news. First and foremost to the leftist Dragroomers. Now, let me make a qualified statement here. The average drag performer is not a pedophile. Just to be clear, drag is basically like a minstrel show, only culturally acceptable. This is something that I had a dust up with Matt Binder on the other day. He's a leftoid content creator, YouTube and Twitter mainly, and clearly a leftist because he's recycling memes from 10 years ago about me as a form of non-rebuttal because he does not want to address the issue that I raised, which is that he's comfortable with small children having grown-ass men gyrating around near them, and those children, stuffing money into their underwear and things of that nature. Things that, if it weren't a drag performance, if it were just, in a store or on the street, all the passersby would friggin' lynch the person practically. It'd be considered child abuse. Grown-ass man in lingerie, dressed as a woman, which is what drag literally is. It's a pantomime. Being sexual, it's explicit because that's part of the performance art. That's part of the point of drag. Looking like Tim Curry from Rocky Horror or something, and a little kid, a minor, interacting with them in a manner that is at least innuendoed. That would not generally be considered acceptable, and in some cases wouldn't even be legal, except apparently the leftoids have no problem with it as long as it happens in a strip club. It's very interesting. So I'll read out some tweets here. Here's what I said. This was my initial point. Drag is basically like a minstrel show, but with gender instead of race as the comedic foil. It is also inherently sexualized. I made a video this morning on this topic. It can't be split away from being sexualized because the whole point is the hypersexualization of the female archetype. That's the comedic value. It's just like with a minstrel show. That's the comparison I'm making. No reasonable person in the 50s or 40s or whatever, or now, looks at the minstrel show and says, oh, this is how black people live their lives. Yes, the stump speech, the sand dance, the romp and stomp, brown sugar shuffle, the mammy stuff. This is how black people really are. Nobody believes that. It was always a comedic archetype. It was a Hollywoodization of black culture, or subculture rather, specifically of impoverished Southern Black individuals. That's the whole point of the minstrel show. It's the entire point of putting the burnt cork on your face with the top hat in the ill-fitted suit and stuff like that was funny because it was so hyperbolic. Drag is the same way. And insofar as adults are interacting with it, they're going to the bar, they're going to the club or whatever, and there's drag performances. Who gives a shit? Nobody cares. There's this weird projection. There's this weird straw man argument that if you stand against the concept of small children interacting with an overtly sexualized situation, which is drag performances or similar things, yes, female strippers would be the same thing. That's another straw man made. That you would only have a problem with LGBTQ. You're not woke enough. You obviously have a problem with progress, and you're just a Luddite. You're a prude or something. Saying this as a known non-prude who is completely desensitized to every kind of fetish other than child and animal abuse because I've used 4chan for more than a decade. No, small children should not be interacting with that sort of thing. It's inappropriate. It's psychologically damaging. It's clearly wrong. Adults, who cares? Nobody cares. But drag performances are sexualized. That's the truth. They're meant to be. That's half the humor is the fact that you're portraying as a male, in many cases a straight male, which sort of undercuts the idea that opposition to this is, well, you just hate gay people or whatever. Most drag performers are not gay at all. They're straight males. They're doing a performance thing, but it can't help but be sexualized. That is the point. The whole point is to regard the female and make a hyperbolic pantomime of the female and then to do a performance. So the twerking, the 10-inch heels, the fake boobs, the heavy makeup and stuff. It is a pantomime of females the same way that a minstrel show is a pantomime of specifically impoverished Southern Black culture. That's it. That's all that it ever was. That's the humor value. It's the hyperbole. Among adults, this can be humorous, but kids should not be participants. And then I had retweeted him. Yeah, and I hold to it. Children should not be involved with such things. It's overtly sexualized. There's no other way to interpret it. Here was his response. He posted the image of me with the little Hitler stash. I'll explain that in a moment because these people are living 10 years ago and don't understand anything. Here's Matt Binder with his witty reprisal of my views. This guy wants to tell you how to raise your kids. Also, he has thoughts on minstrel shows too. And others helpfully showed up to post again, edited and out of context clips of my Holocaust video from, I think, 9 years ago. So this is the intellectual value of the left. They're stuck in the past. They have no ability to make memes of any value in the here and now. They just recycle things that people more intelligent than them handed to them, in some cases, a decade ago. It's not surprising, and the only reason why I even address it, because, I mean, it doesn't make me mad. It's like, I wish I was still that skinny, and I looked pretty cool, actually, with the Hitler stash. It's a Charlie Chaplin stash, really, but I'll get into it. I won't be tongue-in-cheek. Fuck it. My only beef is, why can't you do anything contemporary? Why do you have no talent? Why can't you think of anything original? Can't you make, like, I mean, I make little cartoons in paint. It takes me 100 hours to do so, constantly. And they're funny because they're new, they're novel. It's hilarious. You can't even do that. You can't be bothered to spend 10 minutes making a fucking meme of me. At the very least, if you're going to invoke me and pretend like you give a shit, why don't you make your own meme? Instead of, again, Googling my name, and then you pull something off of Google Images, and you pretend that it's contemporary. To be clear, that image of me, now famous, apparently, with the little Hitler mustache, that was initially a video that mocked Google for its censorship and compared them to the Gestapo. That was the whole point. Again, it's, lost in time and out of context. People, I guess, think that I was trying to be Adolf Hitler. Very, very interesting. So Matt Binder is a dragroomer. He believes that small children should be stuffing money into the pants of grown men in lingerie. He's comfortable with that. He separately said that it was, what did he say? Yeah, I'm going to go through the Twitter really quickly here. He said all sorts of weird shit. It doesn't surprise me. He's a leftoid. And he can't help it. He doesn't have the mental capability to do anything else. What did he say? What the fucking... I gotta find the original... Yeah, here's another one. Ban gender and LGBTQ plus discussions in schools because it's up to parents to decide when and how to bring these issues up to their children. Parents decide, take kids to family-friendly drag show during Pride. Not like that. What's family-friendly about it? Little kids are stuffing money into grown-ass men's lingerie. That's sexualized. What the hell does that have to do with anything other than sexuality? It's explicitly so, and it's happening in a bar, and, you know, kids shouldn't be in there anyway. I think there was one other that he he keeps going after Tim Pool too. He got completely showed up. He actually, I think, debated Tim Pool and looked like an orangutan at the time. Where was his other fucking thing? Just a second here, because it was very cringy. It's very funny. He's on a tirade because he lost against Tim Pool massively, and now he's doing damage control. And he's also going after crypto. He has a problem with crypto. He thinks that it's a scam, which shows you again his great intelligence. Oh yeah, here's the one. Oh boy, I'm sorry. I know it's sort of like a grave humor at some point, but I can't help but laugh. This is Matt Binder again. This is what this past weekend's moral outrage has been over, by the way. These are like basic confidence building exercises for kids. The horror. And of course, you have a fairly cherry-picked little clip here. Again, context-free. This tends to be a thing among leftoids. Of a drag queen. And there's a little kid sort of strutting alongside them. Now, in this context, there's no sexualization going on. That's perfectly fine, although I don't think the kid should be in a bar. That particular instance is not sexualized. What about when this same little kid, or other little kids there, are stuffing money into someone's bra, are stuffing money into someone's crotch in their underwear? That's a sexual scenario. Your cherry picking is horseshit. It's extremely disingenuous. It's almost a straw man, because that's not the sum and substance of drag. That's one element of it. Yes, okay, strutting around, you're doing some dancing. Again, for adults, who cares? You know, I'll see, you know, drag queen or something. It does not offend me. I don't care. People can dress how they want. I've had people think that I was doing drag or cross-dressing or something because one time I drunkenly made a video in which one of my ex-girlfriends gave me David Bowie makeup. By the way, I looked fucking bitchin'. Maybe I should have gotten into drag. I suppose the leftoids would like me more if I had, as long as I was interacting with small children at the time. But these groomers, these drag groomers, are trying to take this. Number one, they're trying to peg drag, which predates the modern LGBT sort of thing. They're trying to peg it to gay rights or something. Number two, they're trying to claim it's about confidence building. What confidence is being built by children being overtly sexualized? Look at Desmond the Amazing, etc. Yeah, okay, we've got a 10-year-old kid here twerking out on the pavement, and grown men are throwing money at him. Okay, I guess that may give him confidence in what his parents have indoctrinated him into, perhaps. Again, overtly sexualized. It involves interactions between adults and children. It's not the same as drag in the sense of, hey, a bunch of dudes got up and they powdered their wigs and they put on the makeup and they do the thing where they pretend to be women. They've got the long nails and the pumps and stuff. They're doing an archetype, a stereotype of femaleness. And they're entertaining each other. They find it hilarious. They're drunk and they're laughing at one another because it's funny, because it's hyperbolic. Perfectly fine. They're all adults. Having a 10-year-old or something like this, some of these kids don't even look like they're in the double-digit age range involved. No, it's not acceptable. And this is definitely sort of a line in the sand moment. And if this is the hill that the far leftoids want to die on, just look at what happened in San Francisco. Perfect segue into the Boudin recall. You're getting hammered. People are rejecting you for a reason. And I would have called this dude Che Guevara. He's got the messy hair and the scraggly ass beard that he obviously is not capable of properly grooming. Not like mine, nice and soft, perfectly trimmed. And when you get a little bit older, dude, you know, your standards tend to increase a little bit when you mature. It's something you'll probably never do. But Che Guevara was taken by the amazing atheist and or Vaush. So I just call him Pol Pothead, Matt Binder. And yes, I will continue to troll and amuse myself with your feeble existence. If you think that I'm upset at 10-year-old images, well, then I've been upset for a very long time, and you don't get to claim originality. Very sad for you. Why don't you put on heavy makeup? I will do a drag contest. I bet that I'd win. That'd be funny. Poor dude. And he picked the worst possible person to try to harass. a person who's been on 4chan since the 2000s. A person completely desensitized, known for constant sarcasm and sardonic remarks about other creators. Yeah, you're doing well, dude. With your what? I don't know how many subscribers do you have on YouTube, by the way. That'll be funny. I think it's okay. You got 21K. Yeah, our audiences are totally similar, my dude. You're so culturally relevant. No offense to any clankers with that number of people. You're good. You are culturally relevant, but you're a clanker. See, you're not trying to groom small children, presumably. So, you know, you're good in my book. A little bit different from some of these Dragroomer leftoids. We've got alt-right over on Rumble. Go fuck yourself, you cowardly cuck. You are a disgrace to the white race. Well, I mean, I actually have a kid. That's probably more than you've done for your genetic lineage. So like I said, you can go fuck yourself because nobody else is doing it. You'll have to become a rugged individualist in the bedroom. You're going to be a libertarian in the bedroom. By the way, the Mises Caucus people taking over, I think, is the greatest thing ever. Anyway, we'll get to some super chats too. We'll move on to the next. We got to cover Boudin and gas prices, but I'll get to some super chats here as well because there's a bit of a backlog. I know that it's early. We're probably not going to get to 6 or 7 Biden loser units at this time of day, but I'm doing the best that I can. I've got an wonky schedule because, of course, I've got a child now. Vinny the D, off topic, but I'm writing my first book, like an isekai, but based Indo-European languages and cultures for warriors. Also first SC to you. Thank you very much. Let me know when the book is ready. I'll check it out. ZI12. I think the problem is certain countries lower the marriage age to 16 or something, and they think it's also acceptable and are trying to push it over to our culture and, for example, what's acceptable over in the Eastern countries. I don't think it has anything really to do with that. I think it has to do with wokeness, which is Marxism. The problem is there's a dual attack on children right now. On the one hand, the leftoids want to make them sexual. You know, they've got the MAP thing, which the pedophiles, minor attracted persons. Nice buzz term you've got there. Okay, you know, we used to consider you just a creepazoid, a dirty old man or woman or something like that. A cougar who goes a little bit too young beyond her own age range. We used to consider that creepy. They're now vying to have an identitarian movement, which is crazy. I don't think it has anything to do with Eastern influence. In some cases, those countries have higher ages of consent. As far as marriage, that's a totally different issue. It's effectively a state contract. I don't know what that has to do with drag queens, though. Drag queens are innately sexualized. That doesn't mean that anyone that does the drag thing is a child predator. In most cases, I'm assuming these people don't want to interact with kids because they understand that their performance is a hyperbolic and hypersexualized act. Well, why would you? I mean, if you're reasonable, if you're not a pervert, then you don't want to interact with kids. With adults, that's fine. You're doing a drag show. It's like burlesque dancing or something. Yes, burlesque is fine. Stripping, I don't give a shit if someone is a stripper. They're getting naked for money. They're getting tips. They're picking up coins with their twat or whatever. For adults, okay, I may consider it to be sleazy, but it should be legal. But you wouldn't expose a 10-year-old to that. There's simply a psychological difference. Kids should be allowed to be kids. We used to understand this. This was broadly understood as a society until fairly recently because of these fucking communists. Gary the Snail, New York enacted rifle licenses, also current 2024 odds. There is a 90% chance that Trump will run, and there's a pretty good chance he'll win. If DeSantis runs, if Trump doesn't run, DeSantis has already weighed in that he won't run if Trump does. He'd probably win. Rand Paul would probably win. I hate to say it, but Ted Cruz would probably win. I don't want him to run. I don't want him to be president, but he would probably win against any random assortment of Democrats. The Democrats right now are hemorrhaging support. That will lead us into what happened in the San Francisco DA case, actually the recall vote that happened the other day. The leftoids got completely slamma-jammed. So don't worry, we'll be talking about that. Skycloud Rain, Sticks, do you think they have the votes to reinstate the assault weapons ban? No, clearly in the Senate, no. If weak-knee GOP reps jump ship and join them. Fuck the House of Representatives. They have to get it past the filibuster in the Senate, which is why Ilhan Omar keeps weighing in even though she's not a member. It won't happen. Wouldn't be grandfathered in anyway, so it wouldn't affect any current weapons. People right now, like in Canada, people are running out to go and buy handguns because Trudeau wants to disarm them more. In the US right now, you probably get doubled or tripled gun sales. When I get back to the United States, if this is still a thing, pre-midterms, which is when I'll be back there, when I go to Cragen's gun shop, I don't expect there to be much inventory. I expect there to be some older rifles, be some revolvers, which is fine because I'm a revolver guy anyway. I don't think there'll be many handguns. I saw an AR-10, I think it was there when I was there last. I considered buying it. Was like, well, I really want another revolver, and I kind of regret it, actually. Skycloud Rain, the openly say kink. That can only be sexual. Sick. Yeah, exactly. Drag can be a kink, although it doesn't have to be. It can be a pantomime, and among adults, that is fine. Nobody cares if you're gay. That's an old issue. Nobody cares if you dress in drag. Nobody cares if you have 5 guys in a row. Nobody cares if you have an orgy. Well, some people may care, but, fuck them. It's in your bedroom. Who cares? As long as you keep the noise down. Noise complaints are still a thing during orgies. Keep that in mind. Don't get monkeypox. Reasonable, mature individuals like myself don't care what other reasonable, mature adults do in the bedroom. But it shouldn't involve kids. And that's a step so far that, again, the liberals are rejecting this shit. We'll be talking about Boudin for a reason. Failed state. Why don't you report on the COS movement? Do you mean the Church of Satan? I've already made, a half a dozen videos on that topic. I don't know if you mean the Church of Satan. If there's some similar movement by the same acronym, no, I won't report on it because I don't know what it is. You can elaborate. Fire down below. In 2018 midterms, Tim Pool and Razorfist said Republicans won after the first day, but then mail-in ballots came in and Dems won. Your thoughts? The midterms? I think you mean the 2020 election, which would be true. Trump had won all 6 of the competitive states, and then what Bloomberg said several weeks prior magically came true. There was a red wave, but then it suddenly disappears. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is totally normal. Thankfully, half those states have defortified their elections. That will not be a repeat issue in the midterms, and people who are black-pilled about the situation, really, become higher info. Please, do what I do. Spend hours every day sorting through news and sorting through legalese and understanding how government actually works. You'll actually be less black-pilled after you do that. Believe it or not. Yeah. HT Cold Fusion on Twitch says, we need Chris Hansen now more than ever. Chris Hansen is a grifter. His show resulted in a massive number of pedophiles using entrapment laws to escape justice. They were clearly trying to fuck a kid. Artie Lang did a bit on this, by the way. You should look up Artie Lang, Chris Hansen. Just fucking trust me. It's hilarious. Invokes Jared from Subway at one point. The problem is that Chris Hansen worked with law enforcement. If law enforcement is attempting to use an adult who is pretending to be a kid to bring a person in, presumably for illicit activity with a kid, it's entrapment. Most of those individuals were able to successfully act upon that in a legal case. They didn't get in any trouble. They had other charges like possession of child pornography, etc., dropped because it was called, it's what's called a fishing expedition within legalese. What happens is that you've looked into the person, but the premise upon which you gained the warrant to do so was false. So you've entrapped the person. Ergo, you shouldn't have been looking into him in the first place. Ergo, all that evidence gets thrown out. And they went off scot-free to probably fuck more kids. Thank you, Chris Hansen. Really cool. By the way, his lawyer had his own sexual abuse case going on. I don't know what happened with that. These days, I think he has hitched his horse to the dead wagon, which is Onision. And that's basically his modern claim to fame, is basically constantly harassing a content creator who's creepy and who gets 10 views on his videos. Quite a career. He also got in trouble for tax fraud at one point. No, I'm not a fan of Chris Hansen. He not exactly the most helpful individual in the world when it comes to these things. Adherent of Lady Columbia, increasingly I'm amazed that while elites are a thing, in the US they are more so heavily balanced with the inherent local and state powers. Yeah, take over your local council. It means more than you think. Splank. Hey, it's my favorite faithless pagan. Keep up the good work, you heathen. Thank you, Jar Jar Binks. Meximan and cheese. I think the food shortage will have a good side. Many Americans live off fast food. Maybe eating less will lift the junk food brain fog. It did for me. No, unfortunately, the opposite will happen, because people that are solidly middle class, that are used to eating reasonably healthy food, now have to get canned soup or ramen because they can't afford anything else. The food shortage and skyrocketing Bidenomic prices are causing people to have a worse diet. Also, they'll cancel their gym membership at some point because they never learned how to go outside and walk around. Nathaniel McLaughlin. Chessa goes down. The cope and seed from the twits is succulent. I'm a San Francisco native, and it gives me a little hope. Still miles to go. The absolute state of San Francisco is unreal. Even Pacific Heights neighborhood went hard for recall. Absolutely. We'll talk about that in a moment. A Boudin, 556, sent $5 Australian dollars. No comment. Thank you very much. Mickelvo. No wonder we face so many issues stemming mainly from people's stupidity. The other day I argued with yet another one saying the National Socialists weren't socialists. Giving up hope here. Yeah, I mean, if they pull that out of their ass, it's clear they're beyond saving. They're beyond educating. A Boudin 556. Why does this ninny have to share my exceedingly rare name? Let's see. Skycloud Rain. I think he was referring to the Convention of States. I don't know. Failed state. Convention of States. Okay, so I'm getting a fact check there live. Silky Johnson. Hey, Razor. I mean Sticks. I remember you mentioning to study linguistic anthropology to understand propaganda. Can you recommend a good starting point? Just look it up and get a good textbook on the subject. I'm sure that there are some that are out of copyright. You'd be surprised at how your mind is fiddled around with Hannibal Lecter style on a daily basis. Motorhead Geordie, hey Sticks, favorite metal band? Well, I like Black Sabbath. Yeah, I'll go basic bitch mode. By the way, we have a super chat over on Rumble by Rel21000. I hear dandelions are a good food source. If so, what's the best way to prepare them and eat? You can take the tops and make cookies, but the greens are delicious with ranch dressing. I had a dandelion green salad once. Usually you pick them early in the year. I think it's a little bit on the late side to do that now. They get more bitter. When you pick them when they're young, like in May or something, they are absolutely amazing. I don't understand why people don't grow them as a commercial crop, because they're so easy to grow anyway. You don't need any insecticide. You know, nothing eats them really. You can also get the latex out of them, out of the stems, and that has industrial uses. I can't remember which military. I think it was the Soviet military at one point used to process that down into a glue to repair tank treads, actually. That may be apocryphal, but that's what I heard. Splank. Is there any hope for California, or is it FUBAR? Again, we'll get into the recall race for the San Francisco DA. Yes, there's always hope. Never be black-pilled. Pump some iron, read a book, pet the cat. You know, I don't have any choice, so, you know, on my end, that's how I choose to take out my frustration. Just get in there and scritchy that kitty's goofy spot. I do that every day. Woods Precision Arms. Sticks. We need the all-holy Sticks prediction. How bad will this primetime January fail the Democrats? Horribly bad. Trump maybe do a rally on Fox to compete. The Democrats will flop. They've been flopping continuously. Anyway, we'll get to that segue into our second topic, which is gas prices. We'll cover that before we cover the recall in California of their DA of San Francisco. The national gas price in the United States is just shy now of $5 per gallon. That's the average. There are some states that are lower. There are quite a few that are higher. In my native Vermont, it's riding almost exactly the same. It's $4.99, so about 4 cents extra. In California, $6.39 per gallon. At what arbitrary point is it $7, $8 a gallon? Is it no longer economically feasible for people on the lower echelon as far as income to even go to work? Like, let's say you have a part-time job. You work, 4 hours a day, a few days a week, and you live with 5 other people, because you have no choice because there's no good job market right now because of Bidenomics. Are you going to spend, $20, $30 a day just to make $20 or $30 potentially? I think that a lot of people are being negatively impacted, but even worse. And there's a link in the description of this video cross-platform. Even worse is the diesel prices. In the state of California, diesel is approaching $7 a gallon. Now, diesel, that affects trucking. It's a trickle-down effect. Bidenomics is effectively real trickle-down economics. It affects literally everything that has been shipped by truck, which is basically everything that you buy. It affects it all. It marginally increases the price of every good. And there's a compounding factor. For instance, let's say that corn costs a couple cents more per bushel or whatever. Well, you feed that to animals. Well, that's going to make the meat cost more now, isn't it? It's going to be a problem. Gas and diesel used in farming equipment, that's going to compound the price further. You're going to see things spiral out of control towards late summer, early autumn. We'll say roughly, I would say end of July through October. That's going to be the real sweet spot when we really see what the economy is going to do. And it's not going to be good. That's, by the way, when the actual Putin price hikes will begin to become noticeable because of fertilizer pricing. When those goods hit the market, the government will have to choose between prices skyrocketing and offsetting that by subsidizing these things to keep them at the same price or even lower. And then later on, the inflation shows up, and then 6 months later, you have them skyrocketing. It's a no-win situation. So gas prices still rising, still soaring. Monkey Bomb Studios on Rumble says Europe is supposed to be ridiculous. I have absolutely no clue what the gas prices are because I don't have a car here. So someone's you're saying 648 in the Netherlands apparently is the average. Yeah, so it's Californian level. Just to be clear, California, you have the same gas prices as a supposedly socialist nation. I mean, it's not. If you've ever been here, you would understand that. Not really a woke country. They've still got Zwarte Piet, even though the government doesn't like it. Let's see. Motorhead Jordy, based. Yes, definitely Black Sabbath is cool. Soapmaker19, can you recommend any books or documentaries on the Cultural Revolution? Thanks. I don't know which revolution you mean. I did a little booklet called Critical Race Theory Debunked. You should check that out. As several thousand other people have. I think I've sold 4,000 copies or something of it by now. Pretty nice considering the amount of time it took to write it. It's only, I think, 30 pages long. It hit a nerve. That's why leftoids hate me so much. I keep hitting their nerves. Just like a fucking conch shell. Skycloud Rain, you have any fishing rods in the Netherlands, or are you at the government's mercy? What is the European consensus on Americans and their rods? I don't know if you're doing a metaphor for guns or if you actually mean real fishing. Fishing's common here. When we were in Franeker, I used to see people on the side of the canal with their fishing rods just sitting there with their lunch and not a care in the world right by the road. I don't think there's any particular regulations in most parts of the Netherlands for it because it's such an aquatic nation. I don't really like to fish, though, because, fish do actually feel pain. Just to be clear. I know I'm a hypocrite because I eat meat, but, I don't want to impart that pain on them personally. I'd rather pay someone else to do it so I don't have to see them gasping for air. Buzzin' Jimmy, great content. Big man, thanks. Sorta retard. Good morning from San Diego, Sticks. You're over, yeah. I don't think it's morning there. It's probably midnight. Mr. Marbles, HOA here. I live in suburb outside Seattle. Fining me for flying rebel flags and a small fine for a Gadsden flag. They're taking up votes to force us all to stain our wooden fence to the same shade of brown as they see fit. Help! Well, probably it's more about the fact that we're flying a flag unauthorized than the type of flag. Because a Gadsden flag, of course, is not particularly edgy or anything. I would say you should get a lawyer. That's basically the only thing you can do. You can always do a GoFundMe, try to raise some awareness. Dylan Blyler, use your advice and was able to lucid dream again. Focused on my feet and I was standing in water. Started to create a mountainscape and added Pokemon. That sounds like a cool ass fucking dream. Let's see. Jarl Sagan, here's to you, your family. In the last 6 years, I've listened. Cheers. $50, by the way. Thank you very much. Yes, there will be plenty more to come. Remember, when I get back to the U.S., it's going to be garden time. I'm going to make up for lost time for a couple of years. So, I don't know, maybe a couple dozen garden video updates as I very slowly repair a garden that's been completely neglected for multiple years. It's going to be a doozy. And Cheege Miller, Sticks, been watching for years. Your political analysis is always on point, and your occult series has been a great help on my own journey. Keep up the great work. Another $50 donation. Thank you as well. Yes, I'll be doing more occult videos. I've got, I think, 8 or 9 more lined up just at the moment. But today I had to do 2 political videos because we had, the DA recall in San Francisco. I will get into that. That's basically the main news of the day. All the drag stuff, that's just like, it's hilarious because I was owning a leftoid. Triggering people. Well, it's funny. But the San Francisco race, talk about a bellwether. Frederick John, do you think Marilyn Manson will get his career back? Yes, I do. I believe he will be Johnny Depp. He, I believe, is innocent. I think that he's into weird kink stuff. And women, they got with him because he's a millionaire. He's famous. He's into kinks and stuff at the time. He's riding high in the rock circuit. He's one of the biggest names in rock for over a decade. And they screwed him. And then they felt bad afterwards because he's into aggressive, kind of rapey role play style sex. And so they're calling it rape, but it's not. It was consensual. They chose to be with him. They weren't drugged. They went there of their own accord. There's no evidence that he ever did anything with anyone who was underage either. I mean, consider this. All of the people that are claiming this about him, they were of age at the time. He's like one of the few Me Too'd rockers. And keep in mind, he's Marilyn Manson. People think that he took out his lower ribs to suck his own cock. He's the one that has never been implicated as doing anything with an underage fan. That I find extremely interesting. I just think that it speaks well of his character. Anyway. Opinionated junkie, leftist corporations are price gouging gas. Yes, they're trying to claim that, but inflation and price hikes tell a different story. It's all Biden's fault, mainly. Sky Cloud Rain, guns, lol. Yes, you can get guns in the Netherlands. There is a registration process, though. You have to have, witnesses to your character, pay the fee and stuff. I've considered it, but I'm not a full citizen of the Netherlands, so I don't know if I'm, as a resident, even eligible. Considered looking into it, but, I've got a sword. That's more than the average attacker is going to have in this country, so I feel pretty happy. Mega C Monkey, what is your opinion on the self-improvement for men movement on YouTube? Example, videos on exercise for testosterone increase, NoFap, meditating and learning to journal, etc. I think everyone should improve themselves, male and female. NoFap is a joke. It makes absolutely no sense. But I think that if you're exercising, meditation is good. Eating well, eating healthy, avoiding microplastics and stuff. Yeah, I feel very positively towards it. Mumble Slam. Why do vegetarians not consider fish as meat? This is on Twitch. They do. Pescatarians are the ones that will eat fish but not other meats. It's considered healthy. I think they are aware that fish do actually have feelings. But I'm not a vegetarian anyway. Although I do have to say a predominant number of the dishes that I cook well are vegetarian. I do make an excellent steak, though. Just ask Razor Fist sometime. Splank, thoughts on Biden reinstating U.S. opposition to Taiwan's independence? He's an idiot. There's no other opinion to have. Mr. Marbles, red wave coming here in Washington State. Yes, I do believe there will be a red wave in the midterms. I think it'll be much more significant than some of the posting suggests. Skycloud Rain, Stick, speaking of your book, is it digital only or is there a physical copy? You should do a book tour in the States. I want an autograph. I've written and edited hundreds of books. They are all available as paperbacks. Some of them are available digitally, but I gave up actually on the digital releases because you make less money. You don't get a physical item out to the people consuming it. And because they have a much more onerous system with regards to the content, like how it's formatted. It's much more arcane. It really doesn't make any sense. Hey, kitty. Wow, yeah, co-host kitty. Hoisteen, early morning stream, eh? Have a good one, Sticks. Oh, thank you. Scarfy the Strange. War Thunder players keep trying to win internet arguments over vehicle stats by posting classified documents in the forums. I know absolutely nothing about War Thunder, so I wouldn't know that. I'm being asked what kind of saber I have. This is an early 19th century cavalry saber. So it's Napoleonic era. It does have a little bit of tarnish on it right now. I'll be taking care of that at some point. May have been used in battle. I have no clue. I believe it is French in origin. Maybe one of Napoleon's men carried it. But it's it's nice and sharp. I keep it here in case I need to deal with any intruders, I suppose. Mostly around here, the intruders are the cats, and, you know, let's see. Got more chats. We've also got to get to our third subject here. He needs some milk. Hey, Sticks, I know you're not a big gamer, but I'm curious, did you ever play Hexen? Yes, I loved Hexen as a kid. It's a mid-90s Doom-type game with spells, medieval weapons, etc. I loved Hexen. It was one of the goriest, weirdest games ever. It's based on the Doom engine, so it's graphically not particularly impressive. It was impressive in every other way, though. It was filled with weird shit from top to bottom. It was, there's no real way to compare it other than to Doom, actually, basically based on the same premise. Yes, and the music in it was excellent. Silky Johnson, do I search for those out of copyright books on linguistic anthropology on the archive.org site or another, and is there a specific way to search? Yes, use archive.org, but just a second, and I'll try to talk you through it really quickly. Because they've changed their format, and there's now, okay, when you go to archive.org, the first thing that you do is you're going to click on the little text button. It's at the top. And now, what do you do? Actually, no, you don't do that. Sorry. I'm right. That's the old way of doing it. How did I do this? Fucking, I'm trying to figure it out on the fly. Oh, yes, you go to the top and click books. That's on the very top. Now it says open library. Click that. And now you've got the older, or at least you used to. Okay, never mind. Just go and search for what you want. They've taken down the legacy search function, unfortunately, which is really going to stymie me. Thank you for reminding me to do that. That's rather sad. They used to have a much better search system on archive.org. They've changed it considerably. They've made it modernized for like the smartphone audience. That's great, but can't you have the old legacy desktop version for people like me? It's a good thing I've got about 500 books backed up that I still have to edit. So I've got my work cut out for me for the next 20 years or something like that. But yeah, just type in linguistic anthropology, linguistics, stuff like that. You can filter by years. You'll want something that's pre-copyright unless you want to pay for it. I mean, you can. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think we got through all of the super chats finally. Okay, then we've got one more subject, which is the DA of San Francisco, Boudin. I made a video about this morning being recalled. It's about a 60-40 vote in favor of recalling him. And again, this proves me right. Stop being black-pilled because politics in the US are not unidirectional. There is no slow, steady, inevitable march towards leftoidism in the United States. What happens is that the leftoids overstretch and then they get their cocks smacked. And that's what we see here. San Francisco is a very, very far left enclave. It is majority Democrat, supermajority Democrat. A large plurality of those Democrats, of significant total, are very, very far left, especially in the center of San Francisco. And what happened here, and here's what I think. When I look at the map of the recall voting, the poor voted in favor of recall, and the NIMBYist, the stuffy sweater Brian Griffin liberals did. The leftoids, by and large, the hipster left, they voted to retain him. They like the idea of the outlying communities being fucked over because these are lily white, upper middle class, and rich individuals, and they don't care about others. They hope that other people suffer because they're sadomasochists. Everyone else voted to recall. The poor see their communities getting poorer. The lower, like the working class, see their communities going from being kind of seedy to being completely debilitated. And people who are like NIMBYists, they're seeing the crime encroach upon their communities. And this is how leftoidism will die. It will die because of suburban NIMBYists and no other group of people. It will die because of suburbia. The suburban NIMBYist loves the idea of progressivism, kindness, mercy. They love the idea of getting along together, diversity and stuff, but they don't want it around them. They want a nuclear plant that's in the next town over. They want diversity in the next neighborhood. They want soft on crime approaches outside of their fenced-in community. That's what NIMBYists want. San Francisco is full of these morons. And they're the ones that voted to recall. It probably wouldn't have gone in that direction if the NIMBYists in their middle-class communities, and middle class in San Francisco, by the way, starts at a low six-figure salary. So, I'm certainly not moving into Haight-Ashbury, so to speak. These people have begun to feel the pressure because the broken windows are getting closer and closer. The shoplifting is no longer just at the pawn shop, at the strip club, at the low rent store where, they flip furniture or something. No, it's in the middle class stores. It's where the NIMBY liberal, the sweater wearing NPR listener goes and shops. They go to their shop tomorrow. The windows are smashed out. It's closed up. Well, by golly, I just had my Starbucks latte, just spent $12 off of it. I was going to get a new radio to listen to more NPR with better bandwidth. I couldn't do it. Oh no. That's how the leftoids die. They've alienated the sweater wearers. They've alienated the core liberals. That's what's happening. It's happening all over the country. So the DA was recalled, actually by more than 60-40. And he was billed as a progressive. He was one of the foremost proponents, Soros plant, by the way, of the soft on crime approach. The broken windows policy in most places means, hey, you broke a window, we're putting you away for a while to teach you a lesson, so hopefully you don't get into worse crimes. Broken windows policy in San Francisco means just broken windows. Hey, you broke a window, nobody cares. We're not going to send cops out. It's not a violent crime. It's just a property crime. Vandalism and public intoxication and stuff. The problem is what people are learning is that when you tolerate the little crimes, bigger crimes begin to happen. And they get closer and closer and closer to the NIMBYists, to the sweater wearers, to the people that are loosely upper middle class. It's just like what happened with the BLM riots years ago. You'll remember this. You probably remember the image. What was done in California when BLM members and Antifa were rioting? Goddamn nothing. What happened when they approached the outskirts of Beverly Hills and they moved from the middle and working class area to the upper class area? Sheriffs everywhere. Blaring sirens, lights, barricades, fucking spike strips, dudes in combat armor. That's what happened. They got too close to the rich people. They got too close to the people that pay the majority of taxes. They get defended. You'll notice, like the McCloskeys, who just unfortunately lost their case before SCOTUS to appeal the decision to suspend their legal capability, their law practicing licenses for a year, which was watered down, and that's why SCOTUS bumped it, because it's basically meaningless. The McCloskeys were in a gated community, but it wasn't quite wealthy enough of a gated community for the cops to show up. Beverly Hills, a little bit different of a story now, isn't it? So yeah, let's see. Are there any more super chats here? Barfbag762 on Twitch. I live just outside of Portland. It's not going good for the left in our gubernatorial race. Yeah, it's not going good for them anywhere. Portland used to be the most beautiful city in America, in my opinion. No, I would disagree with you. I think Burlington, Vermont used to be, but now that's getting seedy too. Burlington, it's not a big city. It's in Vermont. It's in a homogenous community. It's getting diversified, though, now, and crime happens to be skyrocketing there. There's shootings constantly. It's basically like the New England, Chicago at this point. It's even got the wind and the lake weather. Not a nice place to be. I think I'll stay in Rut Vegas. Rut Vegas is... So somehow Burlington has managed to become more seedy than Rutland. That's when you know there is dysfunction in Montpelier. I know that the two Vermonters watching will understand what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, Boet. Broken windows just means broken windows, lol. Yeah, exactly. That's what the left wants. As long as it doesn't approach their communities. If the upper middle class hipster trust fund liberals, if the crime gets within 2 or 3 blocks of them, all of a sudden they're eager to change the system. They become very much back the bluers. Up until then, they're ACAB, all cops are bastards fans. It's very, very interesting now, isn't it? Yeah, Arnett23me, recall Phil Scott. Unfortunately, Vermont is more far gone than California, and Phil Scott won't be going anywhere. Got contacted by the Vermont Libertarian Party. They were wondering if I wanted to run for office. I had to tell them I'm in Europe at the moment. I could. It'd have to be a teleconferenced campaign. I'll just have a drone with a little screen on the front that broadcasts my face, and I'll send that off to knock on doors and campaign. Somebody could do that. You'd get a lot of attention. It would be very interesting, and you'd probably win. Just a pro tip for those of you out there with more ambition in the civic sense than I have. I think I'd rather just shitpost on 4chan all day. That's my job, log posting. Run for office. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. If I ran for anything, it'd be like mayor of Rutland, because then I could stay local. Of course, here I'm not a citizen yet. I can't run. Although I could once I'm a citizen. That'd be funny. Hey, I know I don't speak fluent Dutch, just kleine Dutch, but hey, vote for me anyway. I'll try to make sure that we get a Second Amendment in the Netherlands. Yes, barf bag, an iBot from Fallout. You could take a drone and you could put like a foil wrap over it and make it look just like an iBot. It'd be about the funniest thing ever. And Jeff Huntley is correct. Yes, Vermont passed a law so that you can hunt with suppressors, but they also passed sweeping gun control years ago under Phil Scott's lack of leadership. Sad. Starblazer72 sent $5 with no comment. Thank you very much. Seeing Gadar over on Rumble. Have to watch the rest later. 3:20 a.m. Got to get ready for work. You should have been asleep, my dude. How many people are watching on Rumble, actually? I've got to reload it again just to see. Yeah, almost 200 people at 4:30 in the morning Eastern time. That's pretty good, by the way. Think, let's see, how many BLUs would that be? That would be, 4.5 Biden loser units for an extremely early stream. I didn't even know how early it was. I mean, my schedule's all wonky. I mean, to me, it feels like it's already the afternoon because I'm used to getting up much later. Now that we have a kid, that has gone by the wayside for the next 3 or 4 years. It's fun, though. I think the cats are more problematic than the infant is. You know, they won't leave each other alone, and Yana has the habit of occasionally pissing in locations she's not supposed to piss in. It's like the baby can't help it because she's not motile. You know better. You know where the cat box is. Look at how fuzzy she is. She knows I'm talking about her. Look at her face. You can tell. Yeah. You play dumb on TV, or on the internet, rather. Charged Mummel 53. How do you feel about the economic state of the world right now? Very negative. I think that the world is on the brink of a major recession, like a great reset sort of thing. I think that's the point for some of these people. Yeah. Mumble Slam. Are the cats nice to the new baby? Yes. She has actually petted both of them. You know, you hold the baby there. And the cats, I mean, they'll run away after a while, but they'll sniff and just lay there. They don't get angry or anything. So they understand that she's a little human. X Sanchez XX88 sent 199. No comment. Thank you very much. And we're going up on an hour. So I think that I'll go off now. This was basically to make up for the lack of a Sunday stream. I was exhausted. We had too much to do. There were other things on my mind. So I figured I would make the stream now because we've got this backlog of news and I wanted to get some of it out of the way because otherwise I have a backlog of videos and I want to make those occult videos too, which means I can only make one YouTube political content video a day unless there's something major. We're still waiting, by the way, for a Roe decision as well as a decision on concealed carry and on EPA regulations. SCOTUS, over the next 6 weeks or so, is going to unleash a barrage of interesting news. I will be covering it all. When the Roe decision comes out, if it's at anything close to a humane time, I guarantee you I'll make a live stream, probably for a couple of hours. Don't worry, I will analyze everything. I'll look through the whole opinion if I can find a copy of it. And when that happens, Clankers, I've got a job for you before I go offline. When the Roe decision comes out, I want you, if you can, to DM me on Twitter if you can find a copy of the full decision verbatim, because I'll read it verbatim on a live stream. That'd be interesting for people. and I want to get it out there. Like within an hour of it happening, I want to have it as breaking news. That's going to be huge. It's going to be the biggest thing prior to the midterms. The other one is concealed carry. I may also live stream that. And notice, those decisions could come out on the same day. That would be very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to do. Sit down, sit on my ass and stream for 5 hours. I'll have to order food at some point. I'll have to do a mukbang video. Who knows? New career trajectory. A crafty Huragok. Enjoy the U.S. becoming Washington State in the L90. Interesting. Sorta retard. Sticks, guns, Biden, and war with Russia. What is it that Americans are not hearing enough of? We're not hearing enough of the fact that actually, historically speaking, don't worry too much. Things are bad right now, but they're bad in the context of things happening, having gotten better over time generally. We're basically in the 70s right now. We're not yet on the brink of a Great Depression. It's just that there is a looming possibility because of fiscal mismanagement. There are wars and rumors of wars. Things are dicey. There's no sugarcoating to be made. Things right now are bad, not just in the US, but in most of the world. But it's survivable. We can overcome it. It is possible. And one last one, MT. Do you see housing prices in the US start dropping? I think that housing is a bubble and that they're going to collapse at some point. I think that there will be millions of people put out of business and out of house and home. I think it's going to be a problem. Anyway, I'm going to go offline because at some point, what time is it exactly? It's getting towards lunchtime, so I've got to eat something. I don't know what exactly, but I'll figure it out somehow. That's about all. Peace out.